Yeah, marriage is just kind of an L.
What? Marriage is not an
False.
L.
Fake news. Marriage is a fat win, bro.
Nope.
Yeah, it is.
Marriage is the
W.
institution that creates strong families and helps people become godly as they go through the process of life, caring for a person, sacrificing for that person, loving them even when it's tough to love them, bro. Marriage is the freaking glue that holds our civilization together, my guy.
It's special.
Yes.
The nuclear family is the
We all
glue
agree on
that holds the civilization together.
I would say the traditional family, I think the nuclear family, this is something I recently came to understand. The nuclear family, like the idea of like, okay, you have your family and you live like far away from the rest of your family and you guys have your little house in suburbia.
Is that what the nuclear family is?
That's like the nuclear family. Like,
That's not, well, that's,
as opposed to like a traditional family where you've got like, you live near the grandparents and like the rest of the family. That's what's up. That's the glue of civilization. And marriage is the thing that holds that together, bro.
here's the thing though, is that in Western countries, marriage is an L for men.
True.
I don't.
No.
Chase.
No.
Hear me out.
Divorce is an L for men.
Okay,
Which is
yes.
impending for the most part.
Which is what?
Impending.
Impending?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you marry the wrong woman.
Okay.
Yeah, or the wrong man. Usually the wrong woman though. But there's such a financial gain for women to divorce from men. It is so common.
You're right, which is why you got to pick the right woman, right?
But Chase, here's the thing. You say, well, you have to pick the right woman. You have to, and perhaps for those who are religious, you have to pick a godly woman who's the right woman. How many godly women initiate divorces? Even
I don't know, you tell me.
it's a lot. Even within the Catholic Church, where
How much is a lot?
we would have to. I don't have the.
What's the percentage?
I don't
my
have
guy?
the specific statistics on hand.
Isn't it
but
50% of marriages end in divorce in the United States?
yes, 50% of marriages.
Yeah,
end
and
in
I'd like to see what the
It's that
statistics are in the context of what he's saying. The statistics in specifically the Christian community.
Right.
Because here's
I think
here's
it's
the thing, bro.
approaching the average. It might be a little lower than the average, but even godly women, hypergamy doesn't care about your religion.
Yeah, but here's the thing, man. Is like if you're a Christian and you're actually serious about your faith, you know that when you say I do, you are making a promise before God, and that is a promise that you will be held accountable to, and it is not one that you can back out of. And on top of that, too, it says in the scriptures that if you marry someone, and you're like, oh man, like I just don't really like this person that much anymore. Like we're gonna, let's just end it. Let's get divorced. In God's eyes, if you divorce that person and you marry somebody else, that second person that you marry, you are committing adultery with them before
that's
God.
what it says. Yeah.
Okay? You see what I'm saying? So you're cheating on the person that you actually made your vows to before God if you divorce and get remarried. Now, if you
Wait, isn't divorce recognized by the church?
in
the Bible
certain cases
says that you can leave though under certain circumstances.
Yeah,
You can
adultery.
leave a marriage.
specifically
You
if
can.
your partner cheats on you, you are then permitted to divorce them.
If they cheat on you and he doesn't want to be with you, then you can leave. That's literally what the word says.
But if he
That's
wants
what
to
it
fix
says.
it.
Are you sure about that?
Yes.
So
I'm
wait,
not sure about that.
Yeah.
I Googled a statistic here. I Googled divorce rates in Christendom? I don't know.
Recent surveys and studies suggest that approximately 20 to 25% of Christian marriages end in divorce, with higher percentages reported among millennials and younger generations of believers. I mean, that's the thing, though.
I'm looking
man.
Catholics.
I mean, like, bro, like.
Among Catholics who have been married, roughly 1/3 have experienced a divorce.
Yeah, but like, also at the same time, like, you have to ask yourself, how many of these Catholics and how many of these Christians are like
Absolutely.
affirming,
Absolutely.
like, how many of them are actually serious about their
Walking
faith?
their faith.
But
How
some
many?
people
How many?
lose their faith.
Hold on.
Some people lose their faith, Chase.
How many of these Christians or Catholics are doing OnlyFans or affirming LGBTQ stuff, or they don't actually believe in what the word says, right? I would assume that demographic of people in the church that are actually getting divorced probably don't really have strong conviction in their faith, right?
Sure.
As opposed to like I talked to women about this, and like some of them, like, you just know that they actually take marriage seriously, and like they are like, yes, if we're getting married, that's
It's a
it.
commitment.
You are not getting rid of me for life. Doesn't matter if you end up in a freaking wheelchair or whatever. Like, there are people with those convictions, and I think if you're somebody looking for marriage, you want to find somebody who actually has those convictions. And most people don't. Most people are like they're like, yeah, we'll get married, like, as long as it's fun, you know, and we still like
No
each
one
other.
has the hard conversations, those conversations. What the long-term conversations, it's like, oh, I'm interested in you, and yeah, we have maybe this in common, but what happens when things get tough? What happens when things go south? Like, how are you going to communicate to me, and how are we going to fix it? What are our options? And mostly the communication portion of it, because people just say, this is hard, I'm done.
Yeah, nobody
They
wants to
throw
do
their
the work.
hands up. They
Nobody
don't want
wants
to do
to
the
do the
work to
work.
keep it.
I mean, even pious religious people stray from their faith. I mean, and we have it here that says that, you know, I mean, we got different numbers for the Christian versus Catholic. You know, it does seem to be the case that those who are religious, the divorce rate amongst the religious is lower than the general population. However, these are not good numbers. And so for most men,
no, they're
marriage,
not.
And here's the thing.
We
like,
live in the most subverted time in history. Morality is at an all-time low. They're bad numbers.
No, it's bad. But as a guy, you see if the divorce rate is 50% and you say, well, you have to find a really good woman. I mean, these men who are getting married aren't like, probably, do you think going in when they're getting married to these women, maybe I'm underestimating the stupidity of people getting married, but do you think that they're actually thinking, I'm probably going to get divorced from this person?
No,
They're probably going in.
I don't think anybody who gets
marriage.
divorced went into it thinking, yeah, I'm probably going to get divorced from this person. But I think a lot of people, this is the thing, man. This is why I talk so often about not having sex before marriage, bro. Like, if you can freaking date somebody for like a year or 2 years and you guys still like each other to the point where you want to get married without having sex after several years, bro, like, you know that there's a really good chance that relationship is going to be successful.
I literally tell my little sister that. Like, I was trying to tell her, like, just wait, like, 'cause they're younger. So I'm like, you will, if someone wants to marry you just off of your personality, like never touching your body before, that person really loves you. Like,
yes. And if it's over the span of like a year or 2 years and both of you guys go through ups and downs and like hard stuff, and you still love one another without having that physical bond.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's
Like,
unbreakable.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, bro, then once you add the physical bond to that equation after marriage, that is truly unbreakable.
Yeah.
When
And
you
if-
get to know each other, I mean, that's what people don't do anymore. They don't spend time to get to know each other. They
lot
just
of-
go right into.
a lot of people, they rush right into sex, and then they've got
And
like
there's nothing else.
those super intense hormones that are flowing that make you fall in love with the other person, and that's what the love is based off. But like I tell my friends, like, I've met like 5 dudes at my gym here who are all divorced, and I ask them about their marriages, and they're like, I'm like, you know, they tell me they're divorced. They tell me they got into their 40s and they realize, like, yeah, you know, the physical attraction, it just kind of went away. And I say, were you guys having premarital sex beforehand? And they were like, yeah. And it's like they fell in love with these chicks because they were having sex with them. And then once the physical attraction wore off, they realized that there wasn't much there anymore. And I think that's the mistake that a lot of people make, which is why it's part of the reason why divorce
no
stats
foundation.
are so high.
Okay, so you're right that the more premarital sexual partners you've had, there's a whole slew of potential issues that arise
Not
from
just
that.
premarital sexual partners, but just premarital sex in general is going to increase the chance that somebody gets
Well,
divorced.
I'm sort of putting
With that
both
person.
together, but
Okay.
so, and they've done studies on this, so I don't disagree with you there that if you have sex before marriage or have premarital sexual partners, the more premarital sexual partners you've had, the greater likelihood of reporting relationship and then marriage dissatisfaction, greater likelihood of divorce, greater likelihood of infidelity, so harder time pair bonding. All this stuff makes sense. But to kind of bring it back to my whole thing with marriage, you have to, also, I don't have an issue with marriage from a religious point of view. Like, that's fine. However, when you have the United States government involved and you
Where it
have
starts to get weird.
you have the court biases
No fault
against,
divorces, like she was saying.
Yeah, it's just
Women
like,
can just women can just wake up one day and decide, you know what, I don't want to be married to this guy
And take
anymore.
half of
I'm going to
everything.
take like 50 to 70% of everything
And
that
the
he's worth
kids.
and just leave.
Yeah.
Yep. And divorce courts on top of that are stacked super heavily in favor of women in terms
there's
of what
In
major
In
bias.
everything.
Yeah.
There's major bias in the
Huge
court
bias.
system against
Yep.
men.
Yep.
So, and most negative outcomes from divorce impact men.
Yep.
So as a man, I have to look at that and be like, I'm looking at the calculus, and it just, I'm doing the,
I mean, if you don't want to have kids,
I'm doing the calculus.
if